The definition of a thug is any person who uses violence or brutality.
You want to be a thug?
The definition of mentality, the attitude toward life, toward society, or one's intellectual capacity.
Life ain't easy. You can change it.
You can change.
Life ain't easy.
How you doing? My name is Rayford Johnson. I'm the author of the book Thug Mentality Exposed, and I'm the director of ThugExposed.Org. And today we're going to be talking about thug mentality. Okay, we're going to be going into the root of the thug, going all the way back to the history of it, all the way up to today, of where it's at in our culture today. But, you know, what led me to writing this book was I remember working at California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation years ago. And I'd worked there 13 years as a correctional counselor. And I remember we would have groups, anger management groups and victim awareness, trying to get these individuals to cultivate, some empathy and remorse for their crimes. And I remember as we would hold these groups, I remember I would just, we go around the group and they would tell about their crime, and like I said, the goal was to help them muster up some empathy and some remorse, but it seemed like they were sensationalizing their crimes. They were boasting about their crimes, how many murders, and playing the comparison game. And that really grieved me. That really grieved my spirit, because growing up I had two good friends that were murdered by gang members, one on the front lawn of the house that I grew up in. So, that really bothered me. And I remember going to the Lord literally and just praying. And as I was praying, I remember over a period of time, two scriptures just stayed within my heart. The first was John 8:32. The truth shall make you free. And the next was Ephesians 5:11. Have nothing to do with the fruitless deeds of darkness, but rather expose them. So I started thinking, I said, you know what? I'm going to get the truth about this whole thug culture. Something within me said, maybe they know the truth. They'll look at it differently. And I'm going to expose this. When I expose it, they're going to be able to see the truth. So I remember doing my research and going into the history, the root of the thug, which we're going to talk about later. And then I was bringing it back to the group. And, for the first time, it seemed like they were really listening. As there was sidebar conversation, they were kind of policing the group themselves. Like, man, shh, I'm trying to hear what he's having to say. And they started drawing in closer. And then I noticed that when I would leave, they'd be flagging me down outside of their cells with a piece of paper. Hey, Johnson, can you lace me more up on that thug? Is that true where marijuana came from? Is that true where tattooing came from? And they would be following me around the yard. And I remember just asking me questions, and even individuals that weren't in the groups were coming to me and just asking me questions about the thug culture. And I remember some months later, the gang coordinator, institutional gang coordinator, calls me up. And he says, Ray, what are you telling these guys in this group? If this person, I'm thinking, well, am I in trouble or something? He said, no. He said, well, whatever you're saying, these guys are asking to get off the gang roster. They're asking to get transferred to non-gang related units. And a lot of the gang leaders were forbidding a lot of the new guys to talk to me. They're calling me poison. So I was thinking, I said, man, you know what I'm saying? The truth is really setting some of these individuals free so they can really see, the darkness of this whole thug culture, which we're going to go into. But as you know, like I said, it's becoming popular to be a thug. To be a thug is not only looked at as cool, but sexy and to be respected. I was at a continuation school. I teach at a continuation school. And I remember just putting on the board. I put up on the board, I said, why is evil cool? Now, if I would have put why is evil cool just 10, 15 years ago, they would have rebuked me. Even the thugs would probably rebuke me. Man, evil ain't cool. There was no objections in that class. They all told me why evil was cool. Well, you get respected, you get your money, you get to get your paper, And then I put up there, the next line I put up there, I said, okay, I'm going to test these boundaries a little bit more. I put it up there because I knew there were some young ladies in the class. I said, why do you want an evil guy? Now, for sure, I was thinking I was going to get some objections. Didn't get any objections. They told me why they wanted the evil guy. Well, you know, protection. He's going to get his paper. He's going to give me what I need, what I want. I was like, wow. But see, that's where our culture is going. You know, I remember when I was writing this book, and I was in a gang-infested area of the city at a coffee shop. And I remember looking across the way, and I seen an abandoned building, and I seen on that building some posters. And on those posters it said Grand Theft Auto. And I'm thinking it's a movie because they got it, you know, just rows of these posters. I'm looking, that must be a movie. And as I looked closer, I saw, man, this is a game. Wow. So I said, you know what? I was looking for new chapters. I said, you know what? That'd be good to write about the video games. Maybe this is having an influence on the thug culture. So I said the next day, I decided, I said, I'm going to ask some of these guys at the prison, you know, about this game, Grand Theft Auto. And I remember at that time, I was on the unit, a lockup unit, which was like the jail within the jail. And we would bring these guys up, shackled up from head to toe, and take them and put them in cages like a horseshoe. And that day was my turn to watch them that day. And usually they're just cussing each other back and forth out, these are rival gang members. And you know, you got to hear that for the whole 3 hours. I was like, man, I don't want to hear that. Let me see what I can do about changing the conversation. So as they're going at it, as they usually do, I said, hey, any of y'all ever heard of the game Grand Theft Auto? And man, these guys came together like they was best friends. They was like, oh man, caseload, man, you get to have, you know, shootouts with your enemies. You get to have shootouts with the police. And this one guy says, man, you even get this download where you get a prostitute. I'm like, you get a prostitute? He's like, yeah, man, you get a prostitute. You take her off into the cuts, you beat her, and then you rape her. I'm like, you beat her and rape her? He said, yeah, then you kill her, and you get hood points. And I'm thinking to myself, man, they sell this game at Toys R Us. And I'm hearing the little sidebar conversations. These guys say, man, you get ideas from that game. They're talking amongst each other. Say, yeah, you know, the carjackings, man, you got some good moves they be teaching you in these games. So I'm just listening, and these guys are telling me that they get tips to do their crimes from this game. And I remember we had this guy on our unit that was on my caseload named Jesse, and Jesse was from East Oakland, and he had taken a metal pipe and beat this guy over the head with it 15 times until brain matter had came out. And after they got done, I said, man, I'm gonna go up to the top tier, ask Jesse what his favorite video game is. So we put these guys up, I run up the top tier, I say, hey Jay, I said, what's your favorite video game? He goes, K-Slow, why are you asking something like that? I said, K-Slow, what's your favorite video game? He said, Grand Theft Auto, K-Slow. I ain't gonna lie, that game would have me on one. Because I would play that game before I go out there and commit my crimes. And so that game would get me pumped up. You know, and people think, well, it's just a game. Well, many of you don't know that there's a gang out there that's still out there called the Nutcase Gang. And we had one of the guys at our institution from the Nutcase Gang. Actually, he had paroled from our institution and went out and joined the Nutcase Gang. People said, what's the Nutcase Gang? Well, the story goes, there's about 17 individuals that they would meet over in a house in East Oakland, smoke weed, and play the game Grand Theft Auto. So one day, you know, one of the guys said, man, this game is active, but let's make this game more active. Well, what you do? You gotta download or something? He said, nah, man, let's play this game for real. So they broke off into the little clips and went out on a crime spree throughout the Bay Area, committing crimes, murders, rapes, carjacking, and then coming back to the house and comparing points. I'm gonna show you the clip right now of the Nutcase.
We begin this evening with a verdict in the so-called Nutcase murder trial. An Alameda County jury found DeMarcus Rawls guilty of murdering 4 people and committing a number of other crimes in a spree that began back in 2002. It's our top story tonight. Police say the suspects were inspired by this video game, Grand Theft Auto 3. In the game, the players were awarded points for crimes. KTVU's Mike Meback is in the newsroom now with the latest. Mike?
Julie, 21-year-old DeMarcus Rawls sobbed a bit as the guilty verdicts were read in court. Rawls is now one step closer to becoming the youngest man on California's death row. The crime spree spanned 10 weeks. 5 people were killed, dozens were robbed. Police say a group of 5 men and 1 woman who call themselves the Nutcases were responsible for the crimes and for terrorizing residents of Oakland and Berkeley. Investigators believe DeMarcus Rawls was the group's ringleader, and today inside an Alameda County Superior courtroom, a jury found Rawls guilty on 3 counts of first-degree murder, 1 count of second-degree murder, kidnapping, and numerous robbery charges. The first-degree murder convictions include the killings of Jerry Duckworth, Keith Mackey Harris, and Sonny Thatch. Investigators say the Nutcases were driven by the thrill of killing. According to a statement given to police, the group admitted using drugs and playing the violent video game Grand Theft Auto, where the player can kill and rob. Becoming bored with the game, police say the group would then go out and commit similar crimes in real life. Penalty phase it. The same jurors who convicted Rawls will return to court on Tuesday to decide whether or not to recommend the death penalty. Attorneys on both sides are unable to comment because of a court-imposed gag order that remains in place. Reporting live here in the newsroom, Mike Meback, KTVU, Channel 2 News.
So you think a video game is just a video game? I mean, video games, you know, they have done a study where some scientists went to a school, and what they did was they did a survey of those that played violent video games and those who did not play violent video games. And what they discovered was that those, when they were watching these individuals doing this case study, you know, on the playground, they said the kids that played the violent video games were not sensitive. When a kid got hurt, they'd be like, "Get up, punk." You know what I'm saying? "Come on, stop crying." You know, and just kind of laugh at them. But the kids that didn't play the violent video games were nurturing. "Hey, let me help you up. Let me take you to the principal's office. Let's get the nurse. Can I get you some water?" You see, they were more sympathetic. But what they were saying is these video games were hardening these individuals' conscience. Now, what I'm about to show you is a real commercial put out by a rapper about a real product that they sell throughout the nation. Here we go.
Oh! Cheer up! Pimp Juice!
Don't take the pimp, it's a Jew.
Now I hope none of y'all bought that Pimp Juice. Okay? But what I noticed is that, when I play this video, this commercial, I'll notice that men and women both will be cracking up and laughing. And the first time I'm looking at it, I'm like, this is domestic violence. I mean, the pimp is rolling in, he rolls over the dog, right? Or rolls down the window and punches the woman in the face. And I'm like, people are just cracking up. But see, that's what it'll do. Entertainment will make sin look humorous. Entertainment will make sin look cool. I go to youth groups where the kids are telling me that they drink Pimp Juice. And I'm like, wow. They're influenced by what they see through the entertainment. And we're going to get into that. We're going to start talking about the music. Not only the scientific side, but the spiritual side behind that.